Hi everyone. So today's video is going to be just how to prepare for vet school interviews. I wanted to make this video because when I was preparing, I really didn't know how I needed to prepare, how much I needed to prepare, what I needed to know, what I needed to do, and I was really kind of lost and like panicking a little bit. So this is just a video to help you out and to help you get ready so you won't be panicking and you won't be freaking out. I also did a video on what to expect from vet school interviews. You can go check that out. It's just sort of like what happens on the day and everything like that. So I'm going to start off with your references. You're going to want to have those ready because they will sometimes ask you for scanned, or they might actually ask you to take them to interview. It just depends. So I have a list here I made of all the placements I went to and sort of in order, and I have the addresses and sort of the phone numbers. And I had a few issues because what they do require from your placements is that the references come on headed paper, and I'll show you what that means in a second. But some of the ones that I did not have that thing. They didn't like provide that sort of thing because they weren't really companies, they were just sort of establishments. So I could only get them for a few of the placements I did. So I'll show you for one of the placements I did. This is what they mean. It has to have the paper that they would give out if, for example, they write a prescription or something like that. So it has to have name, and below it has all the email addresses, all that sort of stuff. And basically the reference, how it's written, it has to have the date. Remember, you need to put that, to whom it may concern, and then sort of this is a confirmation that your name and from the date. It's important you have to have the date, so the length of the placement, and then just sort of the different skills that you gain from that placement. So mine says observe different procedures, taking x-rays, blood tests, and testing for viruses, sterilizing protocol, and so on like that. It needs to be signed, obviously. And that's pretty much it. I'll show you the other one I have, again headed with the information below, signed, and again it's got a list of things. Remember the dates, those are really important. It needs to show the length of the placement. Then to the actual preparation part, as in knowledge. So once you've got this list of all the placements you did, what I did was for each placement I did this little sort of book. I prepared it in here, and it has, like, for example, here I wrote Spanish clinic, which was basically it was this clinic, and from there I put like a list of the skills I learned and all the sort of facts that I remember that he told me. So for example, I put chest x-ray set to 15, diagnostic imagery, memory cancer, biopsy, blah 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 stuff. And don't freak out, like, it's not like you need to know everything, you're not a vet, but just any facts like that are interesting to you that you remember, kind of that your vet really emphasized. So if they do ask you about that, you'll be like, well, my vet showed me this and told me this. So you have a few facts to go with, like the knowledge that you have. And I wrote like treatment here, and I wrote like holistic treatments and all the different types you can have. I'll show you the other page, like euthanasia and sort of what the vet told me about that, like a little list of like arguments and like alternatives to that. So you have like curative therapy, palliative treatments, holistic approaches, all that sort of stuff. And I did it with pretty much every clinic, every place I went to, just so I wouldn't forget. Like, try and do this after you've done the placement. Do something like this, a little chart that can help you remember everything, so that whenever you come to it, for example, if they ask you in interviews, like they did ask me when I went to Bristol, sort of what I remembered about sort of like the respiratory system, what, like how it worked and stuff like that. And I had it written down, and so it helps me remember. So you want to do that for all of them. It doesn't have to be very, very specific, just kind of general stuff that can help you out in sort of interview type questions. Then I'm going to do a video as well on the university experience, like for Surrey and for Bristol separately, like both interview experiences. For example, for Surrey, we only did MMIs, but for Bristol we did both. So for the MMIs, what I did, I was really glad I did it because it turned out to be so helpful, and I'll show you. I have very little battery, but I think I can manage. Here it is. I'll link it below where I found these, but I found like a lot of these papers, and if you can see, they've got the little animal on top, and this one's basically called, the title is Organic Sheep the Crunch, and there's loads of different titles, and basically it gives you like a little problem, which is there, that's the little problem, and then you have like, what will you do about it, summary of the case, stakeholders and relevant considerations, and so you consider all the aspects like the diseased lambs, the farmer and his wife, like how it'll affect them. And basically, this is what MMIs kind of are. They give you kind of like a case or something like that, like a sentence or like a page. You read it and then you need to discuss it, like what would you do? And these tell you, these are like, they're quite advanced because I think they're after university level. But they're, you know, they're quite good because this is what you kind of need to know for the interview. You need to know how you would approach it, like would you recommend euthanasia? Would you recommend a specific treatment? What would you do? And there's quite a lot of these. I found quite a lot, and I'm so glad I did them. I really recommend you do them. But because they're so expensive, what I went on to do was this. And for each one, I wrote kind of like the case study, and I sort of summarized it because they are quite long. And I summarized the sort of the important points I thought that I should take into consideration, a little bit of a description, like economic factors, practical factors, economic considerations, stuff like that for each one of these. And I also made like a little list because some of the stuff in these are repeated quite a lot. So I made a little list just to remember, and this really helped me as well. Like I really found that useful. And the final thing I did was, apart from like, I also went onto a website and watched like documentaries and stuff like that just to get more inspired about the field and like learn about other people's experiences in the field. And I think that really helps you like get yourself in the environment, like in your head and stuff like that. And something else that I did is questions, like Bristol, for example, they do an interview, and they do tell you in the email they send you that they will ask you questions. So what I did was I prepared like a list of questions that they might ask, and basically I did it like this. I just wrote the question and then sort of a sample answer, which you don't learn it off because you'll sound like a robot saying it, and they might not ask you like exactly the same, but do kind of know the general gist. Like for example, this might seem really obvious, but why are you interested in studying veterinary medicine? I feel like we all know why, but then when you have to put it in words, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I say? So have it prepared, like a specific maybe field you want to go into. Like I think I wrote about wildlife and helping the planet because that's something I'm really passionate about, and I think they really appreciate that you know why you're doing it, like, and you know how to say it because it's something you've thought about and you've given it consideration. So I did it with a few questions. I'll tell you, they did ask a few of these, so I was glad that I did this. So I recommend you do it. Tell me about the work experience you have already done, not related to vet, so other experiences you have done. Talk to me about the experience you have done. Do you see yourself in any particular field? What have you enjoyed about your work experience? General questions like that, and just, you know, it is quite long, but when you say it, it's quite short. And that's kind of what I did. I sort of practiced these questions with my mom and my brother as well, just so I could kind of say it fluidly and kind of have an idea of what I was doing. Practice it in front of the mirror if you don't have anyone to practice with. And that's pretty much it. Just remember to be calm, like be confident, look enthusiastic when you go there, and while you're preparing, just make sure you know your personal statement as well. You need to know it well. You need to know what you've said, and if you've spoken to anyone interesting and you've written that in there, be maybe ready for them to ask you about it, or any situations that you were in. So definitely know what you said. Do any sort of like schemes to remember of this, like any details. And that's pretty much it. I think that's all you should do. Just I do really recommend that you prepare, because when you get there, the people that are there will have these little journals with stuff written in them, and they will have prepared. So if you want a fighting chance, you really should prepare. So that's it. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for my other videos on veterinary medicine and A-levels and just school subjects. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.